Hello folks and welcome. Welcome to Buddhism as an Education. This is a discussion forum on the reality of Buddhism as an institution and not a religion. This research was actually discovered by Grandmaster Ching Kong, and we are currently doing further investigation in this regard. So if you may, let us proceed with chapter 3. I'm going to read through, and if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, any comments, why don't you contact me? My email address is c.aburime, c.aburime @hotmail.com, or Color College, color spelled British, COLOUR, color college @hotmail.com for any comments, questions, etc. So continuing from where we stopped yesterday, chapter 3. The author's own experience with Buddhism. When I was a young student in Nanjing, says Master Ching Kong, I did not believe in any religion. I went to church with some classmates to learn about Christianity. Although I tried to understand it, I could not find a way to accept it. My favorite religion at that time was Islam, because its emphasis was on moral principles and ethics. And I thought that this was rare among religions. When I encountered Buddhism back then, the monks were not very convincing. Therefore, I could not accept Buddhism either. And it was the one I resisted the most. I was too young at that point in time and had not met a true practitioner. After I arrived in Taiwan, I heard of Professor Dong Meifang, who was then a famous philosopher and a professor at the National Taiwan University. Having become an admirer of his, I wrote him a letter asking about taking a class from him at the university. Professor Fang was only in his 40s at that time. He invited me to his house and told me, nowadays in school, professors do not act like professors, and students do not act like students either. If you come to the university and expect to learn something, you will be sorely disappointed. When I heard this, I was pretty upset, since he had basically poured cold water over my plans. Finally, he told me, well, why don't you come to my house every Sunday? And I will give you personal instruction for 2 hours. I could not believe that he was so compassionate towards me. I learned about philosophies at Professor Fang's small table in his living room, one-on-one. This was extremely precious to me. He introduced the philosophies of the West, China, India, and finally Buddhism. He taught me that Buddhism is the pinnacle of the world's philosophy, and that it provides the greatest enjoyment for humanity. What he told me was fascinating, and soon I realized that Buddhism contained something magnificent. I started to visit the temples in Taipei. However, the monks I met in those temples just could not clearly explain Buddhism to an intellectual skeptic like me. However, the monks are much better in teaching Buddhism today. Then I met my first site. I set my first sight on Shandao, which was a large temple in Taipei with a vast collection of sutras. During that period of time, the wide publication and circulation of Buddhist books was very rare. The monks at Shandao were extremely kind to me, as they allowed me to borrow many of the precious and rare sutras. This was a great help to me. Soon after I started to learn Buddhism seriously, I was fortunate to meet Master Changjia. He was a well-accomplished esoteric practitioner and taught and guided me in my study and practice. Just like Mr. Fang, he taught me 2 hours every week for 3 years until he passed away. I then went to Taichung to follow Mr. Bingnan Li, and started studying and practicing with him. Buddhism is a special kind of knowledge. It is not a religion at all. In order to derive true benefit from it, we have to understand its true nature. I have the utmost respect for Buddhism, and I believe Buddha Shakyamuni to be the foremost educator in the history of the world. He was just like Confucius in that he taught everyone tirelessly and without discrimination. Folks, I'll present this to your contemplation, to your minds, to your contemplation, to your reflections, to your meditation. And if you have any question, feel free to contact me at the email addresses I spelled out earlier in this video. Today I'm going to try to, I'll soon be beginning my day's job. It's just about 7 a.m. In the United States. I'm just getting ready to go to work. I just finished my yoga. I'll try this day to attach some websites. So if you come to this video, you probably find websites of Buddhism as an education. You're going to find the very publication which we are currently discussing at this point. Thanks, folks. Enjoy your Thursday. Today is 20th of August, 2015. Have a very pleasant day. Namo Amitofo.